IDCWoodcraft.com.
So tell me who you are.
I'm Garrett Fromme. I am the founder and CEO of IDC Woodcraft. That's a company.
And why did you decide to launch IDC Woodcraft?
IDC Woodcraft, this company was started based on a problem that a lot of people had, including myself.
What kind of problem?
I've got these machines, CNC routers, and when I started getting into these CNC routers, I had problems. I'm like trying to find solutions to different things. And one of the first problems I had after I figured out what CNC router I wanted to start with, I'm starting to look around for the router bits, the tools that actually carved the wood out. And the one thing I was looking for was just a nice set, to start with. Because being a brand new person, I had no clue what I needed. Even though I had CNC experience in my career as a machinist, cutting metal, the wood stuff, it was just different, right? And I didn't really know what to start with. And so I'm looking and I start buying stuff because I can't get the right answers. I'm asking in Facebook groups, I'm looking on websites. Nobody's saying these are the bits that you just should start with. And so what I ended up buying like $350 worth of bits. And they sat in my toolbox because I didn't need them. Right? But I didn't know that. And finally, after a couple months, I figured it out and started to pick up what I needed to do just to make basic stuff. And finally got them, but I started to see all these other people were just where I was. These brand new CNC creators, right? The people that just getting into it, they bought this machine, now they're going, what bits do I need? And they're asking, does anybody know where I can get a good set of starter bits? And so I just realized this is one of the most common problems every new creator has.
And you fixed the problem for you, but why it's important for you to help others to fix that problem?
So the thing is I know how frustrated it was for me. And that what should be easy to find and easy to understand wasn't. It basically worked like this. I wanted someone just to take me by the hand and say, this is what you need, this is what you need, this is what you need, and this is how you use it. And it just wasn't there. And granted, all these CNCers, the creators who have been out there and they're in the Facebook groups, they do their best to help. But sometimes being a new person, you just don't know. You don't know what to ask. And there's only so much you can do texting in Facebook, and you're just like, I'm done typing. So you never get a good answer. And when you're typing stuff, it's just not clear. So
and you seem like very passionate about the CNC and why CNC and why not like woodworking or other hobby.
Why CNC? I think the answer goes like this. We all have something creative inside of us. We all want to do something. And sometimes it takes a lot of skill. Like woodworking is something that takes years to learn to become a master woodworker. And most of the people, most of those amazing creators that get into this stuff, they don't have that time, right? They just want to start doing something. When you're retiring, which is what many of the people who watch the IDC Woodcraft channel, they're getting into retirement, and they're starting to realize that they're not going to matter in the workforce anymore. And we want something quickly to kind of replace to find something new to do that belongs to us. And what the beauty about CNC is, literally in a matter of a month, maybe 2 months, you can actually have the skill to start creating stuff. And so you can take this idea or a design in your head and you can personalize it for like your grandkids, or if like in the services, the military. So many people make military stuff, or police and fire, or family stuff, and even to start little like CNC businesses. But as far as I know, in all this crafty space, this is the fastest where you can actually make something, and even basic, and people get it, and it's personalized for them. They've done something for their grandkids or for their wife or whatever. And then the funniest thing is, it happens almost every time. As long as these creators who get into this, and they've just been into it a couple months. If they just put their stuff out on Facebook, people start asking them, can you make one for me? And before you know it, they walk into a business with very little skill. And that is what is so amazing about this. But the real beauty is when you take this idea, and in a matter of even within a day, you have that idea carved into a piece of wood, right? So I hear so many times these, not many, but sometimes these master craftsmen and woodworkers who hear about the CNC space and kind of bugs them. That's not woodworking. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with creating, from just having something to do that you can do and you can create, and in no time flat, you can make an amazing project, right? And there's nothing like taking that idea, right? And you've got it all designed out on the computer, and you start watching that machine carve that thing out. And it's like watching a campfire, right? It literally is. And then the joy of, you get it off, you do the little finish work, and then before you know it, you're like, crap, I made this thing, right? There's just a pride inside. And then when you give it to somebody that it means something, and they give you that, they've got that look in their eye. And there's nothing more fulfilling than them going, this is absolutely beautiful, right? They're not looking at the lack of skill, if you will. They're looking at the message of love, or the thoughtfulness, or whatever. So that is the whole foundation of what IDC Woodcraft stands for, is to give those people that purpose, right? And to give them the resources. IDC Woodcraft is a tooling company, right? And it was all started to give people, going back full circle, to give them a set of tools, right? So here, this is what you need, and here's all the resources so you can start carving.
Yeah, but IDC is more than just the tool, because you put a lot of energy and a lot of passion to create some content, create some video, and so it's important for you to share all those videos for free on YouTube and other platforms.
Why is it so important for me to share? In my last 10 years, I've gone from losing my wife, my best friend, and my mom, all in a year and a half, right? And that made me look at the world a little different. Like, what am I doing with my life? And what am I doing that really matters, that's going to help somebody else? Some years later, I got to a point where I felt like there's a purpose for me out there, but I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. And because I couldn't find it, I was starting to feel, I don't like to use the word suicidal, but I was getting these thoughts of putting a gun to my head. And I don't know why they were coming to me, but it had to do with this lack of purpose. And then the CNC thing just kind of fell into my lap. One day I can carve on wood. I can make a little project like that. I bought something from one of the craft stores, and I just thought how crappy it looked. And that's what I said, I could carve better than that. Hell, I've done some woodworking in my life. And so I just started to research how I can carve these things out. And that's how I landed on the CNC routers. And I bought this little wooden machine, and I had the machine, had it set up, started to work with it. And all of a sudden, all my CNC experience from 20 years ago was coming out. And I thought, screw it, I'll just teach people what I know, right? What happened in that was suddenly all this knowledge was coming out, and people were responding on the YouTube channel, and they were saying thank you. And I was like, it feels good to be giving this, something I totally understand. And not only totally understand, have the wherewithal to get the nuances that you have to go through to learn it. And then somehow I just figured out I'm a teacher of at the levels of brand new people come in, that I can relay in that way. And it made me feel alive. It made me feel like I had a purpose. When people were saying thank you, right, all the time, and it felt so good, and I knew that I was doing something right. At the same time, spending 3 solid days on a video, and before I know it, I was like, it's done, right? It's not easy to edit videos, but there's this sense of joy when I put that video out there, and people are saying, thank you. You've said it in a totally different way. I think the passion comes from them, from the creators who are saying thank you to me all the time. There's who will send me emails and start telling me about their life. So literally, I'll get an email from a perfect stranger. I'm 67 years old, and I've been in the service for so long, and people don't share like that, right? So I'm in this position. The passion comes from the sense of responsibility at the same time, right? That now I'm creating, now I'm teaching, and now I know I'm making a difference in the lives of others. And I even had someone tell me that they suffered with PTSD from the military service years ago, and they suffered all their life, and they're retired. And he sent me the message and said, Garrett, you have led me down a road that has helped me get over my PTSD more than all the therapy and pills ever have. That's a message. When somebody tells you that, you know you're on it.
Yeah.
You know, we talked on the phone. He says, for the first time, I'm looking forward in my life.
Wow.
And he's retired.
Wow.
Right.
You give so much on your YouTube channel, and you just said that people send you letters and thank you and everything. And I know too, you like to give a little extras for your clients, so you always put an extra in the envelope. And I saw you do that yesterday. So why it's important to you? Because they already got YouTube, they already got the tool kit ready for them, and you put another extra.
So I'm giving all this YouTube content, and then whatever else, answering emails, talking to people on the phone, and then when they order something, and I'm giving all kinds of extra gifts in the packages. And I write their name on the outside of the package, because people need to feel special. We all want to feel special, and from my own experience out there in the just in business in general, that you go buy something, you just feel like you're a number, right? They don't really care, right? And I want them to know that there's someone out here that really cares about their success in this CNC world, right? But more so, that they have stepped in a special space of creativity. And for some reason, to me, by giving these extra things, I'll throw a little bag of M&Ms or lollipops in the bag, some other things, because I want them to know that they are special, right? I think a lot of people, or what I've seen is a lot of people hold themselves back from this kind of stuff because they just don't know how to do it, and they're scared, right? And they're afraid they're going to fail. And I want them to know that they can. They can. And I think these are little gifts of love, right? To say, you're just like me, and I embrace where you're at, right? And you can do it. You can do it. And it's just going to be baby steps. But I think these little gifts just say you are special at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because they are special. You know, especially when they're stepping into retirement, right? And they feel they don't matter in the world as much anymore. All right, and looking for something, and they're getting older. When you get this age, you start to realize your clock is running out, and you don't want to go to the graveyard as a nobody.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want the creators that step into the space of CNC routers to be able to leave that legacy in however they want to do it, for their kids, for the military stuff that they make for their friends, for their spouse.
Yeah, and I really love your passion, and thank you for sharing all that with me. And so you give on YouTube, you give an extra with your client, and you really there for them. And I know too, IDC is more than it's a community, it's an environment, and the community, your business, and you give to causes too. You give some for hospital and everything. And why it's important to you? The profit.
Yeah. So you're talking about the donations that IDC makes. So 5% of everything that comes in the door gets donated to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and that hospital is there for kids with special kinds of cancer that's hard to hard to cure, does not necessarily have cures. My niece, Isabel, when she was 6 years old, had a brain cancer that was extremely aggressive, and most children don't live from it. And she was taken to St. Jude, and they were able to save her. They did take some of her brain out. She had radiation. She's got a little bit of mechanical difficulty because she lost some of her brain, but she's still there, right? And she survived. And she survived by St. Jude because of what St. Jude has done, and by the love of family. But had St. Jude not been there, Isabel would not be with us, right? And so I have seen firsthand, not just the pain of someone I love going through this, a kid that's completely helpless, but the helplessness of her parents, right? And by extension, the help of extended family, and knowing how many other parents are going through this, right? And how helpless they feel. When it comes to the kids, that's just where it goes. So everything, it doesn't matter. Every 5% of every dime that comes in the door as gross before profits are taken off and expenses, 5% of that goes to St. Jude, right? And this is 2022. We donated $10,000.
Wow!
Thanks to those who support IDC Woodcraft and buy the router bits and the products. My goal for 2023 is $100,000.
Nice.
Right, $100,000, and I'm going to hit it. And I'm going to hit it because so many of the people in the CNC community support the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
That's really amazing, and all that start with a problem of finding the first starter kit of 100 bits.
Just it is. I never would have thought in a million years that when I shot that first YouTube video with a wooden CNC router about this big, would I have built a company that solves every problem that these creators have along the way. That from selecting the machine, the courage, first is the courage to do it, to jump in. I am one of those ones that I realize, because I've lost so many people in my life, my wife, my best friend, mom, some other people, that there is an end game.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing my best friend said 2 weeks before he died, his name is Bob, by the way, and he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and they found it when it was too late. And he said to me, they said, Garrett, if I could do it again, then I would have done this. He rattled off a list of all the stuff that he didn't do in his life that he wanted to do. And because I was so raw of losing my wife, and I could see his pain, it went through me. I mean, literally, it was like him taking a hot iron and shoving it through me and said, if you don't act, you're going to regret just like I'm regretting. Right? And so that's I don't want anybody to feel that regret. I don't want anybody to go to their grave saying, I was afraid to start playing with a CNC machine. Right? Because the only thing that holds us back is fear, but fear is the number one enemy to a happy life.
Yeah.
Right? But we all have it. So I want to give them the confidence. That's the first thing, is you can do it. And then here's what you need to find in machines. This is what you need to look for. You know, here, whatever it may be. Now here's the tooling. Now here's the feeds and speeds for the tooling. And now here are some, follow this video list that takes you right up the ladder. How to check your machine. And then here's a very simple project. And up, just on and on. And provide all the tooling that they ask for, right? Because they always asking for the tooling. So that's what IDC does.
Wow. And where do you see IDC, the mission, the vision, and the community in 5 years?
The one thing that's lacking in this whole CNC world is a cohesive community, right? We have things like Facebook, we've got Instagram, but they're very kind of texty based, and you just type stuff in, and then you have to wait if you have a problem, or you just show off your stuff. I want to create a community, and I'm going to create the community that is going to have a dynamic resource where people can plug in and talk to each other, literally face to face on the computer, and share what they're trying to do, and other people. peers, when they're helping each other, skyrocket in their success. Right? If you're trying to do it alone, it's just you're just clawing a wall. And if you're with one person, it's not as hard as a claw. But if you've got a group, a community that is actually talking to each other, not having to wait for a post on Facebook that may or may not be the right answer.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to create. And I can tell you, once that community is created, CNC creators will just, their skills and abilities, the ideas, the brainstorming they can do together, and the bonding. Mm-hmm. This is one of the cool things about this whole CNC craft is when you're in it, you're in kind of a family. It's kind of weird. They're the most giving, nicest people on the planet. You have a few outliers, but we won't talk about that. But that's the one thing IDC, for all the communities that it has right now, has a zero tolerance policy. Mm-hmm. Will not and do not tolerate people who come in and start pounding on people who are just trying to create, right? So there's going to be a community, and that community is going to be dynamic, and I see IDC as the umbrella that's going to give you all the resources. So when the creator gets past the CNC router and they want to start getting the CO2 lasers or get into the industrial models like I have over there, right? They'll have that resource. Mm-hmm. They're going to have the resources to build a business, right? The knowledge base and the mentoring. Because business building, about 60% of creators get into this to build businesses, but they don't have the business acumen. And because they're coming out of the workforce, and running a business and being an employer, two very different things and two very different ways of thinking. And I want to help them so much get this business acumen mindset. And so that mentoring will be built into that as well. Right, so it covers all the bases. That's what IDC is going to do. It's going to take the software. In this world of CNC, there's software, there's a machine, there's tooling, there's the process, there's the how to build a business, and they're all separated. Yeah. And it makes it very confusing for the creators that are coming. And this is why it's so confusing for people. So IDC is going to build that flow. So it's all cohesive, and it takes out all the questions that pop up over here, because it doesn't make sense, because what you're doing here is tied into here, but they're not connected. The industry doesn't treat itself as one cohesive unit.
So IDC is just at the beginning.
It's just at the beginning. IDC is like a little baby just learning how to crawl right now.
Excellent.
But I so love doing this and knowing that it's going to make a difference to so many people who are searching for answers. They're searching for the courage just to fork out some money to buy a machine, right? A lot of people are afraid of spending the money on a machine. So, like this Longmill CNC router right here. It's one that I endorse because it's just a good starter machine for benchtop. It's rock solid, easy to work with. And this one costs about $1,500. Right? And so too many look at the CNC for the price tag first, rather than what it's going to do for them for years to come. The passion, they're not going to think about the price when they're in there designing these really cool things and carving that thing out. The price is the last thing in their mind because they're so fascinated by the machine doing its stuff. And then, like I said, they're holding that project in their hands. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, I did this. And there's just a feeling like no other. No one else can experience that feeling until they've actually done it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So, if I could tell anybody, don't let money stop you. Mm-hmm. That's just keeping you unhappy.
Yeah.
Spend the money. You're going to love it. You'll be addicted to it. You're going to be doing this every day anyway for the next years to come. And you're going to be plugged into a whole bunch of people. You won't be alone. You won't feel alone. And you'll forget about the money. It'll be cheap when it comes to all that stuff.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Garrett. And I don't know if you have something to add to finish that. awesome interview.
You know, I just see it as it's such an amazing creative space, and it's all about following your heart and allowing yourself to just. I like to say it this way: if you don't know what you're doing, and you're looking at this, it's like standing on a diving board. The high dive, right? And you're looking down and you don't see any water in that pool and you're supposed to dive. And the message is jump off the ladder. I swear to God, I promise on my mother's grave and on my own grave that pool will be full by the time you get down there. And the people that are going to be filling it up are all the other creators that already took the leap. Right? And that's my final message.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. IDCWoodcraft.com